Good afternoon. Joining us on the line now is BMX racer Beth Shriever, MBE, to talk about her remarkable Olympic gold medal victory in Tokyo 2020 and the challenges she had to defeat to get to the Olympics. Her book, The Power of Belief, is her inspirational journey to becoming the greatest ever female BMX racer. Welcome to the show, Beth.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. And what an amazing career you've had. And you're still so young.
I know, it's crazy that it's all kind of happened so early on. But, I'm motivated and training hard to hopefully do it again in the next year. So it's come around very fast.
Yeah, amazing. So how did you get into BMXs particularly?
So I've got two younger brothers, and it was basically my youngest brother. He got invited down to our local BMX track, and I kind of wanted to come along with and see what it was all about. And pretty much like the rest is history. Like we kept going to the Saturday sessions, getting into it, getting better, and all of us took to it very quickly, and then started traveling around the country. Doing like small races and then working our way up to European rounds and then world championships. And yeah, here I am today.
Oh, wow. So for people who don't really kind of know or understand the differences, what's the difference between a BMX bike and a normal bike, and how is the difference in racing them as well?
Yeah. BMX bike or race bike, all the wheels have to be 20-inch wheels, so they're quite small. It's basically riding like a kid's bike, basically. But you can adjust sizes to obviously, your height and stuff, because I'm not going to be riding the same size bike as someone like Kai White who's over 6 foot. So there can be adjustments made, and we tend to like our BMX is quite light as well, but also quite stiff, so we can put a lot of power and, weight through our bike as well. So, yeah, it's a lot different to your standard road bike or mountain bike. And I think when people try to ride one, they kind of like realize how hard it is. So yeah.
So a lot of people can ride a normal bike, but that doesn't necessarily mean you'd be any good riding a BMX bike.
No, I guess not. I mean, everyone needs to try and, have a go and see for themselves. But I think once you kind of get the hang of it, it's one of the best sports there is. So
yeah. And would you still ride a normal bike for fun, like for leisure time? Would it feel weird being on a normal bike for you, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes like when I have a bit of time off, like I do a little bit of road cycling with my dad, like, cause he loves a bit of road cycling. So, but it's mainly for like training purposes. I'm not a huge fan of like being out on a road bike for hours and hours on end, but I know people love it, and props to them because it's mad. So, yeah, like I think BMX is kind of like my home and what I'm comfortable with most, definitely. But yeah, you never know. Like I might try a bit of track cycling one day, or a bit of the velodrome. So, but yeah, no, BMX is where it's at for me.
Yeah. So how old were you when you or your coaches realized that you could be a serious contender for the Olympics?
That's a big question. That I reckon probably when I won my first British championships, I think I might have been 12 or 13. And then that's when I kind of got onto the British cycling program at a young age, and started developing from there, really. But yeah, I think my potential really came through when I was a teenager and I was starting to mature a bit more, and wanted to take it seriously. So yeah, I'd say like probably from like 13, 14 onwards, that's when we kind of realized, yeah, this could go all the way.
Yeah, amazing. So at that kind of age, how often are you practicing?
Obviously there's school, and like at the times where I was at sixth form, so it's kind of like you go to school, as soon as school's done and like my parents were back from work, I'd get them to take me to our local track, or a track a little bit further away. If it was in the winter and it needed to be floodlit, you'd have to go to a track that's got floodlights and stuff. So I'd come back from school, have something to eat, and then we'd travel to a track and have a little session with my coaches at the time. And then also, obviously, as you get older and you're kind of mature enough to lift weights, or your body's developed enough to lift weights, and you start kind of going to the gym and gradually building in that area as well. So it's kind of, at the time when you're younger, it's just about finding time for it. And then gradually, as you want to take it more seriously, that's when it kind of becomes your full-time job.
So with regards to your coach, I understand that some of the things that you talk about in the book, the power of belief, is the importance of the relationship between the coach and the athlete.
Yeah, definitely. I think you need to be able to trust your coach. Like, otherwise, whatever they say, you're just not going to believe in, the process. So I'm very lucky to be working with Marcus Bloomfield, who I've known for years, and we've developed a really, really good relationship together. Our communication's great, and he understands how I operate on and off the track, and I can go to him with any issues as well, with regards to things BMX related or just life related as well. So yeah, I think trust is everything when it comes to coaches and athletes. So
and I know that meeting with a sports psychologist was a bit of a turning point for you in your career.
Yeah, massively. I think when I was younger, especially, and working your way through kind of that transition from junior to then being in the elite category, like I really struggled with that, and I struggled quite badly with dealing with nerves and anxiety. So I think as soon as I recognized that and was able to talk to a psychologist about that and coming up with strategies to deal with it, I feel like we just went from strength to strength, or I went from strength to strength with, dealing with nerves and getting on that start gate in the best shape and best place mentally for that. So yeah, definitely.
Quite a big thing that happened for you and the sport was when UK Sport removed funding for women's BMX. When did that happen?
It was just after the games in 2016 in Rio. GB didn't have any BMX women there competing. So I think UK Sport at the time thought there was no potential or no reason for funding or for the girls. But obviously there was people like myself and another girl at the time as well who was coming through, and it hit us quite hard. And it was like, well, what do we do now? Do we give up? Do we carry on? And like, I managed to carry on, but my friend who was coming up through the ranks as well decided to change sport. So it was quite a tough hit, but yeah, I was able to, I was in Essex, I was working part-time, had to start a GoFundMe page at one point to get me to races. And then eventually, when it was getting close to the games in Tokyo, UK Sport and the National Lottery kind of realised, right, there is a potential for a medal here. And they fully funded me all the way to the games from then on.
Oh, fantastic. But then, of course, we had a pandemic.
Yes. Yeah, that was, I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of many athletes, but that was, and people, but it was very hard as an athlete to, the unknown, and it literally pushed the Olympics a whole year back. So, but I think it kind of worked in my favor. I worked really hard during COVID. I had my own kind of weights that I was able to use from British Cycling. Obviously wasn't allowed to ride the track, but I was doing sprint sessions. I was going on road rides. So I think that having that extra year for me probably put me in a much better place for Tokyo. Maybe that was, the main reason maybe I did so well. So, yeah.
It's weird, isn't it, how these things happen? At the time, it must have been really worrying because, as you say, we didn't know how long it was going to go on for. It must have been a real blow to you and many other athletes.
Yeah, definitely. It was the unknown, really. It was like, are the games even going to go ahead? Like, for myself, I wasn't sure if I was even going to qualify, if I'd got enough points to go. So, yeah, there was a lot of kind of up in the air and not sure. But working with my psychologist throughout lockdown as well, I think helped a lot and helped keep me motivated and positive that things were going to get better, like with regards to myself, and then also just in general and with life and COVID, as it went on. So, yeah.
So tell us about your Olympic experience then.
Well, I mean, for me, it was obviously my first game. So went into it kind of open-minded, just wanted to kind of enjoy myself. I went obviously with Kai and then the reserve athlete Ross Cullen as well. So it was a good little group of us. And yeah, like it's just, I didn't really know what to expect, obviously, but kind of took it all in my stride. You're around all these amazing athletes as well, like in one building, all the other Team GB guys. So like you'd see athletes coming back with medals and you'd be like, oh, like that would be nice to get one of those. But like you'd kind of have to calm yourself down and be like, no, we're just going to enjoy ourselves and what will be. But yeah, you'd be like, wow, it's just so cool. But yeah, no, like I'd see all the other girls around me, like when I was riding and racing, and they'd just crumble under pressure and they just suffered so badly with nerves. Whereas I was just there, like just having the time of my life and just enjoying every second of it. And I think that's what kind of helped me, be so successful and just, kind of do what I did. So yeah, I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Oh, well done. That's great. I mean, I guess you don't really know how you're going to be until you're in that situation. It could be that leading up to it, you're really nervous. And then when you get there, you're fine. Or it could be the opposite. You're taking it all in your stride and then you get there and then it hits you.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I feel like obviously we're talking to my psychologist, Rich, like we prepared quite a lot for obviously feeling nervous. And we even prepared for things like if I was to get last in a race or first in a race, how I might feel and how I'd deal with that. And then we even prepared for like Kai racing before me and obviously getting the silver. I prepared for him doing well and then how I might feel. And it obviously happened and I was able to kind of control myself and not get too excited or emotional and get on that gate and race the race and get the gold. So
oh, brilliant. Well done. It sounds like speaking to a psychologist about all those different scenarios helped massively. I mean, I think that really comes across the benefits of being able to speak to someone about when you're in these kind of situations and to kind of, I don't know, imagine how you would feel if you lose, if you win, and, to be able to deal with all those different scenarios. It sounds like a really beneficial thing.
Yeah, 100%. And I think more athletes should be open to do that just because I think particularly, I don't want to be stereotypical, but particularly men and boys don't like to talk that much about their feelings and stuff. But I feel like if they're thinking about it, they should really jump in and do it because it's helped me so much. And like, if you're going to be prepared for feeling a certain way, you're going to be able to deal with it so much better and it won't be a shock and then things will go better for you. So yeah, it was one of the best things I've ever done. And I'm still talking to my psychologist now. So yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, that's great advice. And now you're an MBE. Wow.
Yeah, I know, crazy. No one ever prepares you for what comes after obviously being successful at the game. So when that obviously came through the letterbox, I was just over the moon and quite shocked that I was gonna obviously receive that honour. So yeah, it's amazing, really.
So what's next for you then?
So obviously Paris is literally around the corner. So this year for us, it's all about qualifying and racing around the world to get points to eventually obviously go. So I want to qualify early for Paris so I can obviously get training and be in the best shape possible, ready for that, really. So we've got we've got 2 world championships beforehand. So I'm looking to do well there and hopefully get a rainbow jersey again. But yeah, just getting ready for Paris, basically.
Oh, exciting stuff. Well, we wish you all the best for Paris and for the rest of your career. And if listeners want to get a copy of the book telling your story, it's called The Power of Belief and it's by Beth Shriever, who we've been chatting with today. The book is on our website, tre.radio. Beth, thanks so much for joining us. Great to chat with you.
Thank you very much.